All right, so the marble slides activities are going to build off of graphing lines and graphing parabolas. So if you haven't already done those activities on your HyperDoc, I would suggest maybe going back and looking at those before attempting this activity. Or if you feel pretty comfortable graphing lines and parabolas, you can jump right into this. But just know that if you're having trouble, those videos are going to go over more of the math end of things. What this video is for is I'm just kind of explaining what this activity is and how to do the actual activity. So if you need help graphing lines or parabolas, go back and do those activities first, and then you can always come back to this once you've completed those. So the way the marble slides activities work is that we're going to see a purple dot somewhere on our screen, and that's where all the marbles are going to be launched from. So in this case, here's my purple dot. All the marbles are going to be coming from there. The goal for each one of these slides is to make it so that once those marbles are launched, they hit all of the gold stars that are on that screen. So this is just the very first one. It's already set up to work. So then we're going to hit launch and see the marbles come from this point. And in that case, they hit all of our stars. So the next slides, now we're going to have to make some modification to what's there. So right now, this is the second slide. If I launch my marbles, we can see they're too high. They're not going to hit these stars down here. So what we need to do is we need to take this line and we need to move it down. So in order to do that, we have to come over here and adjust the equation that's entered in. So in this case, I want to move my line down, which means I want to change my y-intercept, which is this number being added out here. So I'm going to go back here and look, I want to move it down about 1, 2, 3 so that it's in line with these stars. So if I start at -1 and move it down 3, I'm going to end up at -2. So you can see me typing that in over to the side. And when I change my equation over here, it changes the position of my line. So now my line is lined up with those stars. So when I launch my marbles, it hits those stars. The next type of problem that we're going to see, adjust the domain of the line. So if you notice here, the line doesn't go all the way through, it stops here at 4. So what causes that to happen is what we have out here in these brackets, and that is changing the domain of my line. So it's saying x is less than 4, so it's only graphing up to 4, and then it's cutting off, it's not graphing anything after that. So if I launch the marbles, I can see that I need to make that line go a little bit further so that when those marbles fall off, they hit these 2 stars out here. So to do that, I'm going to adjust, instead of 4, I'm going to change that to 5. So now that line extends all the way out to 5 instead of stopping at 4. And if I launch my marbles, still not quite far enough. So I'm going to go back here, and instead of 5, I'm going to adjust it to be 6. And now when I launch my marbles, I hit all of the stars. On the next slide, you can see our line again here. So this time we have x is greater than 0, so it's starting at 0 and going this way. In order to hit these stars here, it looks like I need to cut it off. So I'm going to try to go ahead and cut it off at 8 this time. So instead of 0, I'm changing that to an 8. And here when I hit launch, I'm finding out that I'm not hitting this star. So I need them to drop further down. So I'm going to go ahead and back off this line even a little bit more. Let's go 9 here and see what we get. So here when we launch, still not quite getting here. So I'm going to go back to 10. If I adjust this to 10. All right, so what I'm seeing is I need another line. So in this case, we need to add another line down here so that after these fall and hit this one, I want a line here that's going to catch it and make sure that it goes to this star. So to add an equation, I just click down below here where my first equation was. And let's see, I want it to have a slope of 1/2. So I'm going to put in there y equals 1/2 x. Sorry, I need my x beside, not on the bottom. And then I need to move it up. So I'm looking at where it is now. I need to move it up about 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to move it up 3. So now after these marbles fall, they have a line to follow, so they should hit both of the stars. Okay, now that I've taken you through some examples on the linear, it's up to you to finish up the rest of these. So you just need to finish all the way through the slides and then submit it to me so that I know that I need to go back and look at your work. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over now to the parabola. All right, so now we're on the parabola marble slides. So here, they're not going to follow a linear pattern. They're a little more curvy. So I'm going to launch and watch what happens with my marbles here. And keep in mind that they're going to have a slightly different path than when they were just following those straight lines. So if I go to the next slide, I'm going to see that I want my parabola, instead of it to be right side up, I want it to be upside down. So in order to make that happen, I'm going to put a negative out front here. Just a reminder, if this is not stuff you know off the top of your head, that's totally understandable. It's been a long time since you've looked at this, way back in Algebra 1. So just make sure that you go back on the HyperDoc and look at the Graphing Parabolas square. That'll help you. That'll give you some instructional videos. So if you're not sure how to do all that right now, that's the place where you need to go. Once I flip it over, so just again, the reminder, one thing that I can tell you here is that putting a negative in front flips our parabola over and makes it upside down, so that when I launch my marbles, they hit all of those stars. The next couple of slides take you through how to reset. It's the same way we did on the linear, It's the same way we did on the linear one as well. All right, I'm going to take you through one last example here for our parabolas. So here we see our marbles are outside. So I need to make this parabola wider in order to catch the marbles. So this number out front here is what does that. So I'm going to get rid of that 2, which still wasn't quite enough. We saw it get a little bit wider, but I think I need it even more. So I'm going to change that to a 1/2, and now it looks like it's going to catch my marbles when they drop and follow that pattern out. So I'm going to go ahead and launch them, and they're going too far. So it looks like I maybe have them going up too high here. So I need to back this off a little bit, enough to get it up here, but then I want them to fall a little bit faster. So I'm going to launch it one more time to just kind of watch that. So I need to back this off quite a bit. So instead of going all the way out to 5, I'm going to try and see what happens if I back it off to 4. So I'm going to launch them. Oh, so now I got this one, but I missed the star. So I do still need it to come up here. So instead of backing it off, I think it was originally at what, at 5? Let's see what happens if we put it at 6. So now it looks like it's going to get this. And my marbles are going to go up steeper, but they should fall a little faster. So I'm going to see if that's enough to get it to hit that star. So we see them going up. I'm getting close. Oh, yep, I got it. All right, and if not, we can continue to back this off. So if that didn't work or didn't quite get us there, we could try even more. So we're going to see them go up higher, but then they fall faster. So the parabolas, I think, are a little bit trickier than the lines, so I would do the lines first before you head into the parabolas. And again, if you're having trouble with any of the math and the equations, you're not going to see videos of that here. That's going to be back on the other squares for graphing lines or graphing parabolas. You can always go back and do those activities first, or even just watch the videos to see if it's enough to help you if you're stuck on something here. In order to get credit for this box, you do need to do both of these activities. So you'll do both of them on your Google Slides. You'll submit. Just go ahead and submit your final screen, and that'll be enough for me to know that I need to go back on the teacher end and look at your responses. So I can go back and I'll be able to see each slide that you did. So you need to make sure you're doing every slide along the way. And then if you just put a screenshot in of your last 2 slides, that'll be enough for me to know that you've completed both and that I need to go back and look at your answers all the way through. So no need to be writing anything down on paper for this. That's how you're going to submit your work. If you have any questions, please reach out and let me know.